I saw this article this morning posted by Paul Craig Roberts. And I felt like, this is worth reading. This is something we should all think about. I'm going to say most, probably, again, if you're subscribed to me and watching this video, chances are this is not news or you need any second thoughting about things. But it's titled, "Do Americans Live in a False Reality Created by Orchestrated Events?" Well, yes and no, but I mean, yes. Yes and no, because the false reality, even though they're orchestrated events, they're still events, and they do shape things. However, they're manufactured, so it's not like real, it's not natural. Most people who are aware and capable of thought have given up on what is called the mainstream media. The prostitutes have destroyed their credibility by helping Washington to lie. Saddam Hussein's weapons of mass destruction. Iranians, they've got the nukes. Assad's use of chemical weapons on the people. Russia invading Ukraine. All nonsense. The mainstream media has also destroyed its credibility by its complete acceptance of whatever government authorities say about alleged terrorist events, such as 9/11 and Boston Marathon bombing, or alleged mass shootings, such as Sandy Hook and San Bernardino. Despite glaring inconsistencies, contradictions, and security failures that seem too unlikely to be believable, the mainstream media never asks questions or investigates. It merely reports what it has heard by the government as fact. The sign of a totalitarian or The sign of a totalitarian or authoritarian state is a media that feels no responsibility to investigate and to find the truth, accepting the role of propagandist instead. The entire Western media has been in the propaganda mode for a long time. In the United States, the transformation of journalists into propagandists was completed with the concentration of a diverse and independent media in 6 mega corporations that are no longer run by journalists. As a consequence, thoughtful and aware people increasingly rely on alternative media that does question martial facts and offers analysis in place of an unbelievable official storyline. And the prime example was 9/11-2001. Large numbers of experts have destroyed the official story that has no factual evidence in its behalf. However, even without the hard evidence that 9/11 supposed truthers have provided, the official story gives itself away. We are supposed to believe that a few Saudi Arabians with no technology beyond box cutters and no support from any government's intelligence service were about to outwit the massive surveillance technology created by DARPA and the NSA and deal the most humiliating blow to a superpower ever delivered in human history. Moreover, they were able to do this without the President of the United States, the Congress, the mainstream media, demanding accountability for such a total failure of the high-tech national security state. Instead of a White House-led investigation of such a massive security failure, the White House resisted for more than 1 year any investigation whatsoever, until finally giving in to demands from 9/11 families that could not be bought off in agreeing to a 9/11 commission, which again were hand-picked commissioners. Some weren't, some or 1 or 2 from the commission that was set up in the banking scandal in the 1980s, or the Iran-Contra scandal. Actually, yes. What are the chances of that? But the mainstream media covered that one, didn't they? The commission did not investigate, but merely sat and wrote down the story told to it by the government. Afterwards, the commission's chairman, co-chairman, and legal counsel wrote books in which they said that information was withheld from the commission, that the commission was lied to by officials of the government, and that the commission was set up to fail. Of course it was, just like the Iran-Contra one. Despite all of this, the prostitutes still repeat the official propaganda, and there remain enough gullible Americans to prevent accountability. Competent historians know that false flag events are used to bring in fruition agendas. To bring to fruition agendas that cannot otherwise be achieved. 9/11 gave the neoconservatives who controlled the George W. Bush administration the new Pearl Harbor that they said was necessary in order to launch their hegemonic military invasions of Muslim countries. The Boston Marathon bombing permitted a trial run of the American police state, complete with shutting down a large American city, putting 10,000 armed troops and SWAT teams on the streets, where the troops conducted house-to-house searches, forcing the residents out of their homes at gunpoint. This unprecedented operation was justified as necessary in order to locate one wounded 19-year-old man who clearly was a patsy. There are so many anomalies in the Sandy Hook story that it has generated a cottage industry of skeptics. I agree that there are anomalies, but I don't have the time to study the issue and come to my own conclusion. What I have noticed is that we are not given many good explanations of the anomalies. For example, in this video made from the TV news coverage, she puts a link there, the video's creator makes a case that the person who is the grieving father who lost his son is the same person outfitted in SWAT clothes at Sandy Hook following the shooting. He just changed roles. And I know exactly what video he's talking about. I've seen it. The person is identified as a known actor as well. Now it seems to me that this is easy to test. The grieving father is known. The actor is known. And the authorities have to know who the SWAT team member is. If these three people who can pass for one another can be assembled in one room at the same time, we can dismiss the exposed claimed in this one video. However, if three separate people cannot be produced together, then we must ask why this deception, which raises questions about the entire story. You can watch the entire video or just skip to the 9-minute 30-second mark and observe what appears to be the same person in two different roles. I'll go ahead and post this link to this story, then you can click on the link there from Zero Hedge. The mainstream media has the ability to make these simple investigations, but does not. Instead, the mainstream media calls the skeptics conspiracy theorists, when all they're doing is asking questions. How come these three men look almost identical? One's an FBI agent, one's the grieving father, and one's an actor? Again, what are the chances? The chances are zero. Mainstream media should be doing its job. But there is no mainstream media. It's run by Washington. It has its sole purpose of propaganda. That's it. There's a book by Professor Jim Fetzer and Mike Pelasek, I think, that says Sandy Hook was a FEMA drill to promote gun control and that no one died at Sandy Hook. The book was available on Amazon, but was suddenly banned. Why ban a book? It's just a book. Here is a free download of the book. And there's a link. I have not read the book and have no opinion. I do know, however, that the police state that America is becoming certainly has a powerful interest in disarming the public. I also heard today a news report that people said to be parents of the dead children are bringing a lawsuit against the gun manufacturer, which is consistent with Fetzer's claim. Here is a buzzsaw interview with Jim Fetzer. If the information Fetzer provides is correct, clearly the U.S. government has an authoritarian agenda and is using orchestrated events to create a false reality for Americans in order to achieve the agenda. And that agenda is absolutely gun control. It seems to me that Fetzer's facts can be easily checked. If his facts check out, then a real investigation is required. If his facts do not check out, the official story gains credibility, as Fetzer is one of the most energetic skeptics. Fetzer cannot be dismissed as a kook. He graduated magna cum laude from Princeton University, has a PhD from Indiana University, and was Distinguished McKnight University Professor at the University of Minnesota until his retirement in 2006. Mr. Fetzer, it's a good thing you retired in 2006. Sandy Hook happened in 2012, December, because if you had said something after that happened and you were still employed, you wouldn't have a job anymore. You wouldn't be allowed to speak. You wouldn't be allowed to write a book. You'd been fired. Isn't that amazing? What was the old saying? It's hard for a man to tell the truth when his job depends upon him not telling the truth. He has had a National Science Foundation fellowship, and he has published more than 100 articles and 20 books on philosophy of science and philosophy of cognitive science. He is an expert in artificial intelligence and computer science, and founded the international journal Minds and Machines. In the late 1990s, Fetzer was asked to organize a symposium on philosophy of mind. Does this sound like a conspiracy theorist to you? For an intelligent person, the official stories of President Kennedy's assassination and 9/11 are simply not believable, because the official stories are not consistent with the evidence and what we know. Fetzer's frustration with less capable and less observant people increasingly shows in his works, and this works to his advantage. It seems to me that if the authorities behind the official Sandy Hook story are secure with the official story, they would jump on the opportunity to confront and disprove Fetzer's facts. Moreover, somewhere there must be photographs of the dead children. But, like the alleged large number of recordings by security cameras of an airliner hitting the Pentagon, no one has ever seen them. At least not that I know of. What disturbs me is that no one in authority or in the mainstream media has any interest in checking facts. Instead, those who raise awkward matters are dismissed as conspiracy theorists. Why this is damning is puzzling. The government story of 9/11 is a story of conspiracy, as is the government story of the Boston Marathon bombing. These things happen because of conspiracies. What is at issue is whose conspiracy. We know from Operation Gladio and Operation Northwoods, declassified now, governments do engage in murderous conspiracies against their own citizens. Therefore, it is a mistake to conclude that governments do not engage in conspiracies. Oftentimes, one often hears the objection that if 9/11 was a false flag attack, someone would have talked. Why would they have talked? Only those who organized the conspiracy would know. Why would they undermine their own conspiracy? Recall William Binney, or was that Biney? He developed the security surveillance system used by the NSA. When he saw that it was being used against the American people, he talked. But he had no documents with which to prove his claim, which saved him from successful prosecution, but gave him no evidence for his claims. This is why Edward Snowden took the documents and released them. Nevertheless, many see Snowden as a spy who stole national security secrets, not a whistleblower, warning us that the Constitution that protects us is being overthrown. High-level government officials have contradicted parts of the 9/11 story and the official story that links the invasion of Iraq to 9/11 and to weapons of mass destruction. Transportation Secretary Norman Mineta contradicted Vice President Cheney in the official 9/11 story timeline. Treasury Secretary Paul O'Neill has said that overthrowing Saddam Hussein was the subject of the first cabinet meeting in the George W. Bush administration long before 9/11. He wrote it in a book and told it on CBS News' 60 Minutes. CNN and other news stations reported it, but it had no effect. Whistleblowers pay a high price. Many of them are in prison. Obama has prosecuted and imprisoned a record number, by the way. Once they are thrown in prison, the question becomes, well, who could believe a criminal? As for 9/11, all sorts of people have talked. Over 100 police, firemen, and first responders have reported hearing and experiencing a large number of explosions in the Twin Towers. Maintenance personnel report experiencing massive explosions in the sub-basements prior to the building being hit by a plane. None of this testimony has had any effect on the authorities behind the official story or on the prostitutes. There are 2,300 architects and engineers who have written to Congress requesting a real investigation. Instead of the request being treated with the respect that 2,300 professionals deserve, the professionals are dismissed as conspiracy theorists. An international panel of scientists have reported the presence of reacted and unreacted nanothermite in the dust of the World Trade Centers. They have offered their samples to government agencies and to scientists for confirmation. No one will touch it. The reason is clear. Today, science funding is heavily dependent on, you guessed it, the federal government, and on private companies that have federal contracts. Scientists understand that speaking about 9/11 means the termination of their career. Isn't that amazing how when I started this I said it's hard for a man to tell the truth when his job depends upon him not telling the truth. And there it is right there. The government has us where it wants us, powerless and disinformed. Most Americans are too uneducated to be able to tell the difference between a building falling down from asymmetrical damage and one blowing up. Mainstream journalists cannot question and investigate and keep their jobs. Scientists cannot speak out and continue to be funded. Truth-telling has been shoved off into the alternative internet media, where I would wager the government runs sites that proclaim wild conspiracies, the purpose of which is to discredit all skeptics. And I think I know one of those sites. It just hit me. WhatDoesItMean.com. Source Fall. Worst disinformation site I think I have ever found, period. It's complete and utter nonsense. It's so bad that I don't know who would go there and follow it for any length of time. Because in the beginning, I'd see articles, oh, what the heck, what is that? And then I noticed they're all like that. Every article you put out is complete crazy nonsense. And I don't hear it anywhere else. I saw a few people pushing it out, but then where's their source? Oh, it links back to whatdoesitmean.com. Where's your source? It links back to what? So there's one source. It's just one source, and it's that garbage website. And from time to time, I'll have people send me something, and I'll have to inform them, hey, by the way, that's a complete disinfo site. Throw it away. Oh, okay, I didn't know. No problem. So Jason is here for you. So, wasn't going to do a third video today, but I said, you know, this warrants just kind of saying. People need to hear this. Because what he said is absolutely true. And it's sad at the same time. We really do need to wake up. But the good news, which is rare around here, the internet is working. The alternative media is working. Slowly but surely. More and more people are realizing, hey, I don't trust the mainstream media. I can't believe what they did on Fox News the other day. I expect that from CNN, but not Fox. And, you know, I used to watch Fox all the time, but now, you know, I hear that all the time. Or vice versa. You know, CNN and Fox or MSNBC, no. And I'm thinking, yeah, you know, to everybody that tells me, what took you so long? I quit watching those things years ago. Years ago, I figured it out. But not everybody's the same. Not everybody follows the same path of waking up or becoming informed. Some people, it happens very rapidly. Some people, it takes a longer period of time. It doesn't matter. The point is, slowly but surely, people are waking up as a whole. So, I can say safely right now, if there's another big 9/11 event, I think there's enough people nowadays that it's not going to last 10, 15 years from the original time frame where finally stories start making it out. No, I didn't know that. And I didn't know they didn't, people, look at these hoax, some of these hoax shootings. While the person's like still bleeding to death, fake bleeding to death, they're already all over it. They, as in the people on the internet. Just, oh, this is a hoax, we caught you. They've got, oh, this guy used to be an actor. Here's his Wheaties commercial. Here's this. Holy shit. Good job. Holy shit. They haven't even finished propagandizing us on CNN, and you've already put all that together? Good freaking job. That's what I'm talking about. So this next time, if there's a big 9/11 event, and I do firmly believe they'll do one, because they have to get that final control over this. They have to push for this big gun control issue. And if they can't get the gun control under their control, which is get rid of our guns, then they must put us in a massive police state. So what would cause us to go into a massive police state? A big 9/11 type event. And it has to be bigger than 9/11. So I don't want that to happen. I hope it doesn't happen. But I got history on my side that says, it's punching me in the face right now. Something's going to happen. They have to do it. The club has to do it. It's in their playbook. What do we do in this? Oh, we do that. What do we do in this? We do that. What do we do when this isn't working? We do that. What do we do when we need to pass crazy legislation? We do this. And this is false flag attack on your own countrymen. It is what it is. Take care.